Welcome to Macro Magic. I'm Sheri DeMaris, and with me, zooming in, is Steve Acuff. Steve has been practicing macrobiotics now for 50 years. He's been a health coach and consultant for over 40 years, and he comes with so much experience in macrobiotics and health and nutrition. And I'm so excited to have you again on the show, Steve. Welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be back.
And I know in this time during the pandemic, we want to talk about the immune system and how it relates to macrobiotics and your work with your clients in helping them improve their immune system.
That's right, and especially the factor of fear that goes around, because when people don't understand the connections, the causes, the backgrounds, then fear develops because something can happen, just drop out of the sky and grab you. And when you understand the context of the whole thing, you can relax. You don't have to be afraid because you understand that illness doesn't just happen. It's a logical process that we can affect and we have a lot of power over.
Yeah, so when you say you have a lot of power over, how is it that macrobiotics helps the immune system so much? And
Well, I think the main advantage of macrobiotics is that it's a holistic view, and that's what really is necessary. I mean, the word holistic is a buzzword that gets a lot of attention. Things that aren't holistic are called holistic. Like, if you look at the mental factors involved in illness, they'll call that holistic, but holistic is really looking at body and mind together. And macrobiotics is truly a holistic view, looking at everything. That's where macro comes from. It's the greater view. And it means that you're going to look at, your food, your stress level, how you sleep, your exercise, if you get enough action going in your lymph system to keep your lymph fluids moving. And so macrobiotics is really the ideal way to be able to optimize immune balance.
And how do you create that balance? Like the immune system is sort of a fuzzy area. Like people talk about it, they'll talk about antibodies and things like that, but do people really understand what an immune system is?
Actually, that's a very interesting question because most people don't. Even using the word to strengthen the immune system already shows that there's not a real grasp of it because we're not going for a strong immune system because the immune system can be too strong. So what we're really talking about here is a balanced immune system. That means that there's no overly powerful reactions like autoimmune things that go on in the body, and there's not a very sluggish, slow, weakened reaction. And the word immune system actually is nothing more than, let's say, the health maintenance system of the body. Many people think of the immune system as, let's say, the B and T cells in action against invaders, the microbes, cancer cells. But actually, that's only part of the immune system. Another part is the regeneration of the body. So our body is constantly regenerating itself. And at my age, that becomes a more and more interesting part of the immune system. But you can't have everything. So we have a limited amount of energy. And if our bodies are constantly dealing with this other thing, like inflammation caused by bad food or too much toxic exposure, then there's not enough left over for the other part. 5 to 80% of our entire immune activity is centered in the gut.
And many people don't understand what it is about the gut that keeps you strong and healthy. Many people, even young people now, are walking around with Crohn's disease, IBS, all sorts of problems with digestion due to stress and the overuse of antibiotics and things like that. So, how do you rebuild or strengthen the immune system through the digestive tract?
Well, the first thing you have to do is to stop harming it. Dr. Huggins, well known dental expert who was one of the experts that was talking about the amalgam fillings and the toxic mercury. He put it very well when he said, if you want to dry off, first you have to turn off the shower. If you're standing in the shower and you want it to get dry, first turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he means by that is you have to stop the flow of toxins coming into the body first, because they create a lot of harm in the gut. Those toxins will create damage and small lesions in the gut lining. You know, it's interesting that the gut lining is only one cell thick. So it's a layer of cells that are only one cell thick, and they expand the gaps between them to absorb food. And if this whole system doesn't function right, if you're exposed to toxins or toxic food like dairy food, milk products, or wheat gluten, these will create larger gaps and allow protein molecules into the bloodstream, which immediately triggers autoimmune reactions. And so there we are again, that you're going to be involved with reactions that are part of an immune response rather than restoring and regenerating the body.
So autoimmune reactions are all the ITSs, right? Arthritis, bursitis, colitis, anything
That's right.
with
Just
inflammation.
Yeah, that's right. Just all kinds of things. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune reaction in the nervous system. Crohn's disease, autoimmune reaction in the intestinal area. Rheumatoid arthritis in the joints, soft tissues. It goes on and on. But this is the major thrust of illness today and of medical practice. Whereas if we go back 100 years ago, infectious diseases were, tuberculosis, that kind of thing, was more the focus of medical attention. And today we're dealing with these issues that people are just overly toxic, and this makes the body inflamed. When the body inflames, you have hyperoxidation, which is basically aging and damage to the body. And then you have young people who should be enjoying the best time of their lives, who actually being in big trouble because they're already suffering from the results of a lot of bad food, bad lifestyle. They listen to music too loud, and everything about the lifestyle. Tattoos. Just you just go down the list, and it's like these young people, unfortunately, don't understand that this kind of modern lifestyle is undermining their health.
It's so interesting you bring that up, because I've seen recently, through Macro Magic cooking classes, a lot of young people now coming to me with all sorts of digestive issues. So, we start them just adding a little bit of grain, a little bit of fermented foods, and they start feeling good like after a week. The body takes so long to get sick, but such a short time to start repairing.
Yeah, and that brings us back to one of your original questions there about why macrobiotics is so effective in helping people recover their health. Because we see that your gut will decide your health, basically. And the food recommendations from macrobiotics, which is, as you mentioned, they're eating whole grains, fermented foods. These are the kind of foods that will create a proper beneficial gut bacteria that's called the microbiome. And it's very much in fashion today to do the ketogenic form, which is very low carbohydrate. And there's a problem with that, a big problem. That is that it tends to be a very low fiber way of eating, because only carbohydrate has fiber. There's no fiber in protein or in fat. So when you get into a situation or a food style where you are avoiding carbohydrates, you're avoiding fiber, and this means that you will not have the beneficial bacteria that you need to be healthy.
And we want to clarify whole grains, not flour products really help.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, you want to have the fiber in the whole grain. Obviously, refined carbohydrates are the worst possible. You know, there's no fiber left in that. But even finely ground things like pasta and bread can be less beneficial because the grinding changes the nature of the fiber. Whereas if you eat whole grains, we recommend, for example, eating organic rice, organic brown rice or red rice or black rice, quinoa, oats, other grains that are still in their original whole form. And even if you chew very well, which is very advisable, that fiber mass will still be intact and will still serve as the nutrients for the beneficial bacteria. And these bacteria in turn will produce butyric acid, oleic acid, which are the necessary nutrients for this very fragile gut lining, which I just mentioned being only one cell thick. So it's like a chain reaction there. Eating good fiber, that means that the bacteria will thrive. They will produce the proper nutrients for the gut lining, and then it will open and close as needed for proper absorption of nutrients. And that's where you stay healthy. That's why I'm staying healthy.
And there's been, you know, if you study different cultures, they've made pickles all over the world. In Japan, there's over 6,000 different kinds. And recently we've been doing cooking classes with Korean dishes and Korean kimchi. And it's a miracle to me how strong the kimchi is in terms of prebiotics and probiotics, like eating brown rice with kimchi, which I'm going to demonstrate on one of my cooking classes. So the combination of whole grains plus kimchi helps to build that strong lining, like you said, in the gut.
Yeah, well, this is a really interesting point you bring up because taking probiotic supplements is also very much in fashion at the moment. And the truth is that you will build up your gut bacteria much better by eating food that contains the proper fiber that they will thrive on. These are called prebiotics. And then when you eat fermented food, the fermentation breaks down the fiber in a way that makes it very easily digestible for the gut bacteria. So, you know, having pickled food, you know, sauerkraut here in Europe, sauerkraut's very popular. And, you know, also pickled carrots or kimchi, lots of ways to do it. But having those pickled vegetables every day, fermented vegetables, because we're talking about natural fermentation here, this is the fast track to health. And I've read some really interesting research of how the scientists have been able to follow how the gut bacteria change within 2 weeks. In other words, after 2 weeks of eating the kind of food that you and I would recommend, a very bad gut bacteria culture can be transformed into a very health-promoting bacteria.
That's amazing, Steve. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to learn more about the immune system, what foods to eat to support the immune system and help us all get through this pandemic.
Let's go, Walter. Up to you. Walter, 12 o'clock. Come on, bud, you're scaring him. Walter, Walter.
One evening as the sun went down and the jungle fire was burning.
Okay, last one.
Came a whole hiking. And
Yep,
I said,
get him,
"Boy,
bud."
I'm not turning. I'm headed for a land that's far away beside the crystal fountain.
Here you go, bud.
So come with me, we'll go and see the big rock candy mountains.
That is incredible.
I know, right? It's the multi-flex tailgate. It can be a step, you can extend the bed, it can even become a workspace.
I meant the cat.
What's so great about him? He didn't have a workspace. He's a cat.
The Chevy Silverado with the available multi-flex tailgate.
Walter, Go get some firewood.
Find new adventures, find new roads. Chevrolet.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Iorio. I'm the host of Rainmakers Roundup right here on RVN TV. The show is about looking for people who are in competitive businesses that are doing something different and unique in the world of sales and marketing. Join me right here on Rainmakers Roundup on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. and then again on Thursday evenings at 6:30 p.m. right here on RVN.
Welcome back. I'm Sheri DeMaris, and I'm with Steve Acuff. We're zooming him in from Sweden, and we learned a little bit about the immune system and what foods harm it and what foods help it. And Steve, we'd like to talk a little bit more with you because you have so much experience with macrobiotics and counseling. What other foods do you recommend, especially for minerals in the diet?
Basically, seaweed is an essential food. It's one of the only wild foods anyone will ever eat. You know, almost all food is cultivated. Seaweed will give you the minerals that you lack otherwise. And I've looked at a lot of very, let's say, in-depth blood tests that go beyond the normal serum test and see that almost everyone has got mineral deficiencies, especially magnesium and iodine, a lot of zinc deficiencies. And when you eat seaweed regularly, you'll cover these deficiencies, and that means that your immune system will get some extra support. So having seaweed in bean dishes, soups, stews, you know, you don't have to become a master cook of seaweed dishes to make this happen. You can just add it to other things and make it a streamlined form. That's an important point. And another thing is having the proper vegetables. Like the whole cabbage family is very important for immune function. And this is, you know, broccoli and kale, cauliflower, cabbage, all the different kinds of cabbage. This should be part of our daily fare. And when you start reading about it, it's just amazing that all this food is so strengthening. And we can understand why so many people are in trouble now because they don't eat this kind of food, and so their bodies become inflamed. When you eat the proper foods, you tone down that kind of inflammation that goes on in the body. So that means you're going more, you know, the omega-3 fatty acids in food, and not eating too much of the omega-6s. So, you know, like regular cooking oil that is very common. If you eat in restaurants, you'll be getting this omega-6 cooking oil, highly refined, which is very inflammatory. You know, so use good quality olive oil, sesame oil, coconut oil. Those are all natural oils that have a long tradition, and they don't inflame like the modern refined oils do.
Yeah, it's important to note a lot of people can't stomach seaweed, so I often tell them in cooking class, just eat a piece of nori, what you wrap sushi in, and take it as a snack, or tear it up a little bit like you said and put it in your soup so you can't tell it's there. And then also what you were saying about iodine, we had Dr. Neil Barnard on several times on our show talking about the importance of sea vegetables now. So more and more doctors are supporting the eating of seaweed simply because people are having so many thyroid issues and lacking that iodine. And sea vegetables seem to be the only source of that, food source.
That's right, and this is a really important issue because my experience is that almost all women over the age of 40 have some kind of thyroid disruption or problem, illness. It's rampant. You know, the woman's biochemistry is more complex than the man's, and the thyroid is a very fragile, sensitive area for things to go wrong. So having too little iodine is a fast track to thyroid problems, and the thyroid is called the body's pacemaker. So without having the proper pacemaker, you don't have a chance to keep your body healthy. And this is so tragic because it's so simple to fix, but people just lack the information to know how to do it.
Yeah, and we're really big on farming. With our documentaries, we talk about growing brown rice and corn all organically. The soil needs to be of good quality to get these minerals into the vegetables. And sadly enough, when our oceans are polluted and we're spraying our crops so much, that mineral content goes way down.
That's right, and even organic food these days doesn't have the mineral quality it had 50, 60, 70 years ago. And this is why seaweed is especially important, because it still contains all of these minerals. It hasn't lost anything. There's often some apprehension about eating seaweed because of fear of environmental pollution. But those seaweeds that are sold through natural food channels are well controlled and checked, and it's just not a problem. The people that sell them and run them through the supply chain, they take good care of the quality. And the seaweeds are stationary; they just sit stuck somewhere, whereas fish is going anywhere, and no one knows exactly where the fish is going to go or where it's been. So there's more of a chance you'll have pollution in fish than in seaweed, where the water around where the seaweed is growing will tell you pretty much what you have there. So it's just something that people should not miss because of a fear of environmental pollution of seaweed.
And Steve, we want to talk a little bit about lifestyle. What sort of lifestyle suggestions do you offer your clients in terms of how they can strengthen their immune system?
Well, the most important thing is to have a low stress lifestyle, because at the moment you're stressed, your body goes into what's called the sympathetic mode, sympathetic nervous system. And that's the famous fight or flight reaction. So your body goes into a tense state where it's ready to fight for its survival, or to run for its survival. And anything like body regeneration or immune system balance, all that is just ignored or pretty much just left on the back burner, because the body is now more concerned with some immediate threat. So when you're stressed, you automatically put yourself into the sympathetic mode, and you should actually be in a parasympathetic mode, because parasympathetic is the relaxed state. Like you and I now are in a parasympathetic state, but if suddenly armed robbers burst into the room, then we would both be in a sympathetic state. And so that's what makes a stress-free life so important, because you can only live in a parasympathetic nervous system state when you're relaxed. And when you're relaxed, that's when you're not afraid of getting sick or being caught up in some kind of pandemic or whatever. You just feel relaxed and secure about your life, and so you just don't get upset about it. If we're going to be healthy, we should be at least 95% of the time living in the parasympathetic state. And one of the quick ways to check that is to just look at your hand and see if it's moist or even wet. And someone who is in a parasympathetic state will have a dry hand, and those in a sympathetic state will have a moist hand. And I live in Europe, and shaking hands is still very much a way of greeting here, much more than in the States. It still is in the States too, but the U.S. has gone in more to hugging and things. But there's when you shake someone's hand, you can tell immediately if that person's in a parasympathetic or sympathetic state just by feeling the moisture in the hand. That's one reason why we should be very careful about caffeine, because nobody drinks caffeine to relax. It's quite the opposite. People want to sharpen themselves and get ready for whatever's coming, and so drinking coffee or black tea will put you more into a sympathetic state.
And why does the hand get wet when they're stressed?
It's because the body is in this. It's like an agitation state. It's like the body is, as we'd say, on alert, like red alert, and so everything is kind of in an accelerated accelerated pace.
Mm-hmm.
The body, and so the sweat glands will get overactive, and you'll many times people would tell me, well, it's hot weather, my hands are just sweating because it's hot. But if they feel their arms are not nearly as sweaty. It's really the palms of the hands where it really comes out. Now, I'm really speaking more of in a biochemical kind of normal Western analytical way, but macrobiotics also is like AC/DC. We also look at the energetics, and if you think of the hands, this is the most yin place with yin and yang. We think of Da Vinci's man with the arms sticking out at the sides. That's the most yin place, and this is kind of an overly yin reaction, a lacking of yang centeredness. And all this action happens out in the periphery of the body. So you get sweating on your forehead, or getting reddish in your face and your hands. Another part of the periphery will become moist. And it's very easy to resolve that. Just don't drink coffee, don't drink black tea, don't eat chocolate. Chocolate's also got caffeine. Try to do a caffeine-free lifestyle, and that will put you more into a parasympathetic state.
Nice. Thank you, Steve. We have to wrap up. How can people reach you if they're interested in a consultation or to get in touch, to have questions? I know you're going to be doing a Tea with Sheri Thursday night lecture with me soon for free, and people can come to the website macromagic.com to sign up for that. But how can they reach you directly if they want to get a copy of your book or set up a session with you?
Yeah, it's easy to reach me. Just go to my website, which is Stephen Acuff with a V, StephenAcuff.org, and it's possible anyone can send me an email, and I will personally respond to anyone who writes to me. This is not a mass movement, of course, so I have plenty of time to get personally involved with anyone who's interested, and I enjoy doing it. And I'm looking forward to, in a month, I'll be going to the U.S. for my first trip to the U.S. in 3 years.
Oh, nice.
And so I'll be doing some lectures there in Portland, Oregon, which is where I come from originally. And so I'm looking forward. So anyone who's in that area would like to know about where I'll be speaking can just contact me over the website, and I'll let you know the details of where I'm speaking.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you for coming on the show. I think what you said about the immune system is so important at this time. And thank you, viewers, for listening, and make sure to join us each week and visit our website, www.macromagic.com. See you next time.